Hey everyone, welcome to the episode that's all around Akka advice. Now, I wanted to come on here and give a little intro to the episode. So, I talked to two of my cousins on my mom's side. Our moms are sisters. Their mom is the eldest of three, and mine is the youngest of three. Despite them growing up on the West Coast and me in the East Coast, we're very similar in mannerisms, and I love that we get along the way that we do, which you'll get a little taste of. There's this natural Amakalam, which is part of the title, and it's a Tamil term used to describe chaos. So we're this chaotic family, still very organized in very similar ways, but really silly, really fun loving. And that's really nice for us, given our age differences, which is something that we go through in the episode. I wanted to also share Tamil terms that we continue to drop throughout this episode. And so kind of like a glossary, like definitions for y'all, and what you might need to know. So, Perima is what I call their mom, which just means, as an elder sister to your parent, whether that's your mom or your dad. We use the term maple, which is a term for son-in-law, and atimber, which is a term for brother-in-law. And I call these atimbers bears, because they're all not South Asian. And so, yeah, I just call them bears. They're my bears. And then we talk about korimba, which is a traditional stew. I also we also mentioned more korimba, which is kind of like a curry in like North Indian, but more korimba is just a South Indian version. And we do mention sambar and rasam, but I'm hoping a lot of you have heard of what those are. Akka means older sister. Hopefully, most people know that. And then also, there's a mention of my cousin writing a monologue for something called Yoni Ki Baat, and that is actually a Desi version of the vagina monologues. So that's something really cool that she has done. Other than that, yeah, I just go through the episode talking to my Akkas, my big sisters, of all the things that we have all felt. They got married later in life, in their late 30s and 40s, and as someone who's 34 and still not married, they know what it's like to feel kind of behind on things, or like really try to do the work and the work is not working, and dating and all this other stuff. So it was really, really great to talk with them, and I hope you enjoyed the episode.
Sad.
Oh, good, good. It only took 22 minutes for all of us to somehow get on and then get settled and then get resettled.
I really
Perfect.
tried to be proactive, and I, downloaded Google Meet. I tested all my things. I sat here. I turned
Only
it
for
on.
me to
Put
be
a
like, it's
Bluetooth
not
on.
Google Meet.
I was like, okay, good. My sound, everything's working. I'm like, oh, I was like, where's everyone? I'm like, oh,
I thought it was Zoom, so I was getting my thing set up and I was like trying to get Zoom on.
Oh my God.
I'm
You guys
sorry.
can't even use this excuse that like, oh, you're so old, you don't understand how this technology works. You guys use this shit all the time.
I know. That's why I was trying to be really proactive. I didn't want to be one of those. It happened.
Okay, well,
Glad
we're
to
here
hear.
now. Everyone's background is good. The appropriate jewelry and makeup is on and whatnot. We all have a drink. So we can finally get started. Okay. For the people, introduce yourselves. Say your name, your age, and then the best thing about me. No, you can if you want to. And then talk about when or what age you were when you got married. So what age you are now, and what age you were when you got married.
Yeah. Should I start from oldest?
Akka's first.
My name is Fatima. I am 51. No, I'm 50, 50 right
Yes.
now. A couple months ago. I'm 50. I got married when I was 46. I had to do the math because I couldn't remember. I met my future husband when I was 44. So
Mm. That's a good addition to
I
add.
thought that
When
was
you met.
relevant. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes,
44,
yes.
got married at 46, currently 50.
Are you counting the COVID wedding or the actual wedding?
The COVID wedding, and that's what I'm counting. 40. It's actually 5 years next week for the legal, signed,
Yeah.
became my husband wedding. Yeah.
Signed, sealed, delivered.
Yeah. But the fun,
Hey.
the real emotional fun one. I mean, no, I will say the first one was fun. I mean, and emotional. I did cry, but the second one was also really fun.
Hi, I'm Nithya. Okay, let's see all the math. So I'm 48. Yeah. And I was 40 when I got married. Was 40 when I got married. I was going to be 41 in 2 months. And then now I have to do extra math. I mean, okay, I met Rich actually 10 years ago. So I think I was 38.
Oh, okay.
When that.
I don't think I realized that. To be fair, I don't really know the exact age differences of any of us. Or I mean, like,
Yeah.
me between you both, because
Yeah, wait, how old are you now? I always can't
35.
remember.
I'm 34.
Oh,
34. So I just did the math.
Brilliant.
So Swapna, you and I are 16 years apart.
Okay.
Because
Yeah.
you'll be 51 this year, and I already turned 34.
Yeah.
So, and then Nithya, I didn't do the math because it's just minus a few years.
minus a few. 2.5.
Minus 2, yeah. So that makes 14. You would have been 14 when I was born. Yeah, that's weird.
Oh, yeah.
That's wild. Because I don't have that experience. So that's the wonderful and weird thing is that I am an Akka to my brother. Like, I am somebody's Akka, but I am everybody else's little sister. Like, on all sides of the family, both, our mom's side and my dad's side, I'm the youngest. And I'm the youngest girl. And so everybody's older than me. So, like, other than my brother being born, like, no, I don't have that kind of relationship of seeing another family member really, like, be born and then, like, grow into this full functioning adult person, other than my own brother. So I think that's what makes me feel so special in this sense, where I have to be the Akka most of the time. And then when I'm with you guys, I get to be like the annoying little sister, and that's so fun for me. I'm like, cool, I don't have to be responsible. Sometimes I don't have to pay for stuff, and I'm like, oh, this is awesome. Which is really nice for me, but sometimes you don't get that because you're just like, we're the opposite ends of the spectrum. You're just everybody's Akka.
Yeah.
Yes. I do get it. I would say more than occasionally from my sister on special times. And then I try to really use my husband for that taking sense that, I give out. Anyway.
What did you do before the husband?
Well, that's what I was saying. My sister's really, like, on my birthdays, they'd step up.
Special time once a year.
Like, I mean, not just on those days. Like, there are, we were just
veering off a different direction.
No,
Complaining about your
we're establishing the age playing a factor.
We take care of each other. I think as we've gotten older, we really do take care of each other. But, yeah.
Does it feel annoying being the Akka? Like, everybody's Akka? Or is it, like, really, like, awesome? Because we all know Swapna says, like, Swapna said to do it. So,
likes it.
Yeah. But, I mean, everyone else steps up, too. So, like, we all have our little roles. But, I mean, I think I like it. Yeah.
That's also credit to you as being like, okay, you also have to help with this. I cannot keep doing everything by myself or something like that. So, testament to you as well.
Yeah. But, like, you do stuff, too. And, like, if we come out to, like, I'm sure, like, you would take the lead and do things, right? You're not, so you would organize and you would take care and make sure everything was prepped and ready. So, I feel like we all do that.
Yeah. I try. Yeah. I remember coming back from your wedding and even asking Nithya how I would know, or it was like something of like, how would I know when I picked the right person? Because I see like Tomas for the audience, like they have an actual third younger sister that's not just me, who's also married, but she got married at like a quote unquote more like timely time sort of situation. Like,
Well, I was trying to remember what year Anu got married, and I couldn't remember.
I was
2008.
Okay, I was 17. So how old was she?
She was 25, you said? Yeah.
She's going to be 26 in August.
She was 25?
Yeah.
Damn. All right. I mean, I didn't remember or know or have it be relevant in my brain, but wow. Yeah, so she got married early. Like, she has a different story.
Totally different story.
But my point is, I remember like being like, oh, Tomas is super helpful and like Rich is helpful and like, and Wade is obviously also like everyone, you all, like, I have all these Ati bears that are like so great as additions to the family who are also not South Asian specifically. But I'm like, Nithya, how do I know if I like, what if I pick the wrong person and he's like not helpful? And she's like, do you really like, you're gonna know at some point that like this dude is not helpful or good or great, whatever. Do you really think that that's gonna be the case? I was like, wow, when you just put it in logic, that makes so much sense. But like
You
sometimes
know,
I don't think about these logic things.
when your parents say they want someone family oriented, and you're like 20, 25, you're like, what do you mean family oriented?
Yeah.
And then, wow, you meet someone and they like their parents. They call them
Yeah,
mother.
yeah,
They do things in their way for their family, like family
yeah.
oriented. So when you do things for your family, it's not odd, or I mean, but that's who
Yeah.
you are, right? So like in that sense, like
So
if
when you're
that's what you want,
homely,
yeah,
then they
Oh,
do like
homely.
yeah, if that's what you want, then that's what you'll find someone who's family oriented.
Yeah. Yeah. But that's why I love the conversations with you guys, because it's a safe space for me to like ask these like silly little questions, and then it's also a safe space to receive like the jokes and the, the real like don't come on. You're not, it's not going to be like that. And if it
Yeah.
is, like, we'll all make fun of the whole situation together, which is fun. So the next part that I wanted to ask about was like your support system. So what was like, I mean, I've met a lot of your friends, but were you actually the last few people to get married in your friend group? Because I am in almost every friend group, except for like the newer friends that I made. So were you also both in that kind of situation, or are there other, I can't remember if there are other people still like left who are not married at this point.
for me, yeah, definitely. Like, I mean, it kind of like yes and no. Like, there are some definitely who got married, but not like way younger. Like, I mean, like our younger sister got married in 20s. Like, our friends got married in their 30s, or
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
early 30s or mid 30s, early 30s. And so, but then there are some people who weren't. So, I mean, it was kind of like a mix. And so there was, yeah, and one person who kind of was in my kind of age group, quote unquote, growing up. Yeah, and like we were, similar situation, but she also got married like 2 years before I did, right? Or like two of the people who were in my sort of age group like got married 2 years before I did. So I remember, well, one of the aunties at
Always an auntie at play.
one person I'm talking about at their engagement like party at her parents' house. One auntie was like, "You're next," and I got mad at her. I was like, so necessary. I was like, "Don't say that," and I just kind of walked away, and my blood just went, I just like laughed.
Were you actually next though? Did you end up being the next person? Because that would be really funny if you were, but either way,
I
yeah.
just like, you were there, right, Swapna?
Yeah, but
You heard? And so I mean, I like all our aunties, and like, I get where she was coming from, but then I don't know what I said. I was just like, don't say that. Like, that shouldn't be that. I don't know, something about the pressure. And
Yeah.
then she came back and she apologized to me, which was really
Oh,
nice,
that is nice.
So I think, cause yeah, I mean, these are aunties I grew up with, so they see us as their own kids. And of course, like, she said something that my mom was already thinking, right?
Yeah.
Or not even that, like, she's, yeah, like she was already, I mean, my mom, everyone, your mom, they're all thinking the same thing, but they don't have to say it anymore.
Yeah.
Because her sons got married a while ago, and their sons also, right? So like, so
it's
she
different.
did,
Yeah.
it's different.
I mean, it's also like, it's not like in our, I mean, I don't know how it is nowadays with the next generation or the younger generation of people, kids, whatever. But it's not like if people were dating someone, they weren't bringing them to weddings, right? I mean, they weren't getting a plus one unless it was like very serious and like
Yeah.
it was like, okay, hey, everyone knew it's like, hey, I do want to bring this person and introduce them to not just my friends have met them, but let me just introduce them to all these aunties.
Yeah.
And
Like
then
using
let them
the
think
wedding
about
as
that,
like
right?
as a way to break him
Right?
him into the
Yeah.
group, the larger fold.
Yeah. So like you can't, there's your parents and then there's like the bigger group, but they're just hopeful. But it's the pressure, right?
Yeah.
It's at that point, like the age, and they just like, oh, you're next. Like I was thinking about this, like there was enough people in our friends group who were meeting and getting married later in their life, like in their mid-30s, and then we were all still hanging out as a group. So they were in our community. Like, we were like as a pod together. So even like the husband who joined in our pod, and then we would all go out and we'd all meet up. And so I guess from that sense, yes, even though like even I was like really one of the later ones, it didn't feel so lonely It did feel lonely,
Yeah,
but not
because it was just
so.
like, I'm just kind of living my life and doing my thing, and other people are coming, and you're like, ah, that's great. And then one day you look around and you're like, oh.
Yeah.
I don't have one of those, but I want one. Yeah. And I mean, I think I asked you, Swapna, like, what did take you so long? Like, why? Was there like a special reason? I mean, I'll let you answer what of like why it did take you so long to date and find your husband.
I mean, that's more I think about. I don't think I was comfortable in my world of like who I was, but I don't think I thought about it like you going through your steps. I don't know. I was just like I felt awkward. I was this and that, and like I think, and then we had my group of friends to like be active and social, so there wasn't like a full-on need, to like go out there, put yourself out there. I don't know. This is before. I mean, the dating apps are just starting, right? So like going to a restaurant, or going to a bar, or going to like I did speed dating things. I mean, going to a bar and like trying to
Speed dating is the worst.
Right? None of those things were really good. And so, and then as the years it just like was easy to go on. We're putting out that effort, which you obviously know. And then, I don't know, I think maybe there was something about like timing, like getting serious about it. Going stray of like I moved and like, moved from this place we've been in for maybe 17 or 18 years in an apartment, moved to a new apartment. And then I just kind of was like, all right, I'm going to try this dating app thing, but I'm really, really going to do it. It was that summer, like I think spring into summer of 2018, where I was like, I'm going to be on the app every day for like 30 minutes. I feel like that's what would get rid of the bad matches. If you go on there once in a while, then you just get like, like kind of just the kind of guys going, hey, you're like, who are you? Like,
and you used OkCupid, right?
I did. I was on OkCupid, and I can't remember, maybe Match.com, I can't remember, right? So I was on a few, and I was like, okay, every day, 30 minutes, and I was like, every week a date. Like, it doesn't matter.
That's really so smart to just be like 30 minutes every day, because I would get this boredom, and I would be like at night, and I would sit and swipe, and then be like, okay, I have whatever 6 matches, within the next day or so.
That's all I did. That's what I meant by 30 minutes a day. It was like actually going on the app, swiping, and maybe like sending a whatever message through the app.
Like a message, yeah. But like I'm saying, like keeping it to 30 minutes is so clever, rather than just like a mindless, endless, like aimless. And in that boredom, I'm realizing it would be nice to have a date or a person to talk to, so therefore I'm going to go find one.
Yeah. I mean, and I was like, I'm not great on the phone. Like I'm not going to chit chat on the phone with a stranger.
With new people, small talk is weird with new people.
Yeah, so I was
like on the phone through an app.
Yeah, do a little back and forth, and let's go meet. Like let's do our drink. Like that's all. And like so that was it. It was it was a date, but it was like, okay, let's go have a drink. And so I was doing that for like throughout the summer, and then October came along, and Wade was.
So was that within the year that you actually moved to this new apartment? It's a condo, right?
Yeah.
I feel like that's.
I met him in October.
I feel like that's saying something of like just simple like redirection, just like even just like a physical shift can put you in a different mindset. But anyway, Nithya, how did you meet Rich? Because I actually don't know the story.
OkCupid.
Oh, really?
Huh.
I've heard a lot in the past, I guess 10 years or so. Like I've heard a lot about OkCupid working out. But anyway, tell us your story, because I don't know it. I just know, in terms of your dating history, Nithya, I know that my mom would every once in a while mention to me, because your mom would tell my mom, like, oh yeah, Nithya's been dating someone. And my mom would be like, so Nithya's been dating someone. And I'm like, sure, cool. Like, what am I supposed to do with this information?
Yeah.
Like, given our 14-year age difference, I'm like,
so
cool.
Yeah, that happens. Yeah, there was a lot of that.
But I mean, like I would get the update. Like I would hear between the two of you, I would hear most like, oh, Nithya's dating someone new. Nithya's dating someone new.
Yeah.
I'm like,
yeah.
I mean, at that time, I was like, cool. Like I don't care. But now I'm like, yeah, I do distinctly remember that you were actively trying for a while, and then like had longer term relationships where I remember like you were visiting the guy's family and then came to our house. For something.
Yeah,
oh, was it for my I don't remember. I just remember that you were going to be in New Jersey, and then you came.
Okay.
Yeah, I took a train. Anyway, or something. Something back then. Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway,
well,
I got to your house for your engagement. Yep.
Yes, you did. That was very helpful. But you tried a lot. So what was the experience like, and then what did you learn from all that trying to the point that like you got to OkCupid and then met your husband?
Rich. I mean, it was a long saga. A lot, all whatever the apps were out there or websites or whatever, I was on them and like, well, because I moved to Seattle,
Right.
and I was there for 5 years, and that was like depressing. Guys in Seattle, I'm sorry, whoever's the worst.
Listeners in Seattle,
Worst.
skip this part.
Who was in Seattle?
No, I'm like, listeners in Seattle, skip this part.
Oh.
No, I'm kidding.
I mean, they're so passive, and it was just like, yeah, I'm like, stop now. I'm like, okay, have a couple emails. Let's just go out and meet, because I don't want to sit here in the chat. But like, it was just so depressing out there. And then I moved back here in 2013, and the guys in the Bay Area are so much better. Like, just, okay, let's go. Okay, let's meet. And I had like a lot of dates and going out, and like, I was the one most of the time putting all the effort out. Like, it was very rare that a guy ever emailed me that I actually wanted to go out with.
Right.
But Rich was one of them.
That he was one of the ones that emailed you, and you were like, yeah, okay.
Who actually read my profile.
Oh, we love that.
Wrote something.
Why the fuck do I have it otherwise? Like, why did I take so much effort to put the nicest photos and write this thing and answer some dumb questions or whatever, and then have them be like, so what's up? What do you like to do? I'm like, it's in the fucking profile.
Yeah. Since I was on from like whatever, 2008 to 2015, right? 6, 7, 8 years, what? Probably I can count the number of people, guys who emailed me on one hand that actually emailed me and referred to my photo.
Other than just a,
hey,
yeah,
what up?
I've gone between being like, okay, fine, I'll be the one to message first, fine. Like, yeah. if that's what this game is, fine. Like, you know, like, hey, what's up? How was your weekend?
Whatever. Cut to the chase. I can't like. I just
and then the amount of times I've also been like, okay, no, I'm going to sit back and just let them come to me. And then the ones that I want to message me are not doing anything. So then of course I'll wait 2 weeks, and then the next time I'm bored and open the app and I'm like, oh, this cute guy still hasn't messaged. So I'm like, hey, what's up? And like, not much. And then that's it. And I'm like, all right, well, this was so pointless to wait for.
Yeah.
But yeah, the saga. And then, I mean, I love that. I love that Rich like actually made an effort. And that leads me to like my favorite advice that you ever gave me. I asked like, how do you know when you found a partner that makes sense? And you just said that it was easy. Should be easy. And that doesn't mean that a relationship is easy, right? Like relationships have shit. Like, friendships have shit. Family relationships have shit. A romantic relationship is also gonna have shit. So, but you said it was easy. And is that from this entire experience of like, yeah, he made it easy to talk to him, to meet him, to whatever? Is that where that comes from?
I mean, yes. And I think like, you talk a lot about red flags, right? And like, for some people, like they're red flags. And then for other people, like it's hard to say, but they're not red flags.
Yeah. One person's red flag is not everybody's red flag.
Yeah, or like one person you see that's a total red flag, but the other person you're like, it's in the scheme of things, it's not. It's like
same thing is not a red flag in
so it's not like
being another person.
I think just first of all, I mean, I don't make this really simple, but like just being a good person and like caring and kind. And I think the other thing that like is what's really important, I think for me is that, Rich grew up with his mom and his sister. Like he had very strong women in his life who are continue to be in his life. And I think like, we're all girls in our family. Like we're all very strong women.
Yeah. Yeah.
The vibe and like my easy is not the same, right? It's hard to like pinpoint all the things, but
you just know that like, because you were even mentioning when our Bhakti passed away and you guys were supposed to go on a trip or something and he missed his flight and you were going from India, something like that. And you were like, even then I could have been so mad and we could have had a whole thing about it. But it was just like, it was just easy to just figure it out and then just be like, all right.
I mean, with any other guy, that would have been like, I'm out.
Wow.
Really.
That's wild though.
Right,
that you like straight up missed a flight and you didn't go on this trip, right?
No, we did.
Oh, you did? Okay.
I mean, there was a lot of drama. I definitely was upset. But like, I actually was able to get over it versus me just being like, I'm done. Like, I can't handle somebody who does this. Like, this is not for me.
Do you think that has something to do with your age difference? Because aren't you guys 10 years apart?
He's 9 years older than me, yeah.
Yeah. Do you
I
think
don't think
that
so.
plays a factor in anything of like, he's like, I'm older, so I do things different than what like you're
No,
used to? No?
I don't think so. I mean, maybe he's more of a gentleman than the guys my age.
Yeah,
That's highly
maybe.
possible.
I mean, I dated a guy for 6 weeks who was 8 years younger than me. That was a lot of fun. But I mean, that was also just very different. He treated me like amazing. And I was like, like he got me flowers multiple times. He got me chocolate. He got me a box of chocolates, a box of C's candies on our first date. And I was like, or what are you, a 75-year-old man? Like,
Was it nuts and chews?
no, it was like a nice, like a little assortment of milk chocolates.
Oh,
And I was like, because I was like, oh, he must have like picked it up from the grocery store or something. He actually went to a C's Candies and like purchased it and gave it to me in the bag. It was like a hot summer day. He was like, don't let me forget it. It's in the car. And I was like, well, it must be melted by now. He's like, oh no, I put it in the freezer after I bought it and I took it out just before I left and I like left it
Whoa.
in a shady part. Right? And I was
wow.
like, I don't even know. I cannot even compute how nice and how kind that is. I was like, I don't even know what else to do other than kiss you. Thank you. Wow, that's so. I'd never had
Very
anybody,
sweet.
even boyfriends, never did that. And here's this guy on the first date. This is what he did, and I was like, that's insanely sweet. So I don't know. I'm like, I feel like it's my generation, but then it's also like my friends have met decent men.
Yeah.
So it's those times where I'm like, it cannot be me. I cannot be the problem. There's no way that I'm the problem if I can still also somehow snack a guy that is that thoughtful, even though he's 8 years younger. And like the established thing was like, he was like, yeah, it'd be nice to be married by 32. And I was 32 at the time. And I was like, yeah, it would be, wouldn't it? I'm like, I'm not going to wait another 8 years for you to feel that way. Like my time's ticking. I want this
Bye-bye.
sooner. So that was not going to go anywhere. But my point of that is like the age difference there, that even though he was younger, I was like, what a gentleman. He would rub my feet. He made me breakfast one day. And the first thought when I woke up to him making me breakfast, I was like, this man is in my kitchen touching my pots and pans and is probably using things that I was going to use for lunch later. And I
Get over it.
was like, hold on. Reel it in. This nice muscly man, younger,
Ooh.
who was like super into me, making me breakfast in the morning, trying to surprise me. Why am I like this? But yeah, I wonder if the age thing has anything to do with how much he was able to, I don't know, impress you. Or also, what do you have to say about people who are like, oh, the bar is in hell? Like, you're like, people who are just kind. And some people will be like, wow, that's such a low bar to surpass that people are just genuinely not surpassing sometimes.
I don't know how many dates I went on enough to learn about people, but I think there's something where you can just see the person, right? There's no like game and there's no, right? Just people being genuinely themselves and like being genuinely kind and being genuinely nice. Like that comes through. And I'm not saying that, yeah, like not everyone's like that, but I mean, it's just hard when you're dating. Like you want to be that way, but there's just so much wrapped up and there's just so much there. And I think maybe he's just a person who's not not like that either, right? And I think that's also there.
And then I
No
remember
goals.
meeting Wade with Swapna. And first of all, Swapna, I thought you were going to be single forever and be that role model. And I'd be like, I could be as cool as Swapna, whatever age, and I don't have to have a man in my life. Like, I'm going to be as cool as you. Like, having a cool car, living in a cool city, like, having this cool life,
I
and
was
like,
doing
whatever,
that.
ain't no
Like,
man
I was
get me
like, I'm gonna
down.
go do what I want to do. Like, I went to sailboating in Croatia on my 40th birthday. I
40th
can't remember
birthday, yeah.
40th, yeah, for
40th.
my 40th. Threw myself a birthday party for my 40th birthday. I was like, I'm not gonna have a wedding. I might as well have a big birthday bash. And
Yeah.
I was doing things that I was like, okay, like let me.
You're
I'm
living
not
life.
waiting to. Yeah, I'm not
Yeah.
waiting to do something. Let me just do it.
Yeah, I was like that was I had that to look up to. And so I was able to say like, oh, that's so cool. Like I can just live life and be like this, amazing boss woman and not have a man ruin this and control my life and all that stuff. And then you had the audacity to be like, I want you to meet my boyfriend. And I was like, oh, I hate this sentence so much because I did not like
right? Yeah.
reading it from you in a text message that you have a boyfriend. I was like, gross. Gross to me. And then I met him and I was like, God damn it. He like worships the ground that you walk on and you deserve that so much again for just being the person that you are, especially in my life and as someone who's like look up to you. And I'm like, God damn it. He's so good. And that is so sweet. And he's such a nice dude. And I can be as upset as I want to be about you having a boyfriend or whatever. But at the end of the day, like when I think of that, like your situation with Wade and who he is, and how excited he is to be a part of our family. And he's a little brother, but he gets to be like the elder Atimbear of the family, kind of like knowing all these things about him. I'm just like, he's so happy to be here, and we're so happy to have him. I'm so happy that you have him and he has you and you have each other. And I'm like, I get to hold on to the fact that, like, okay, if you wait long enough, like, that kind of person does come along.
Right? Yeah. I mean, this is like one area where I was like, I'm not settling. Like,
Yeah.
either I'm single forever and I go do my thing and have fun and whatever it is, what it is, or
Yeah, still cool
when the
to
person
me.
comes along, yeah, right, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's funny how like each of us are the same. Like me, Nitya, and Anu are similar but different, obviously, because we're different people, but grew up in the same family. But then each person we have found are so perfect for that person.
Yeah.
But they also just like love being part of our family. I think so. Like they do everything with us. They're there and like they join in and they're like let's go on a family trip. Yes, let's go.
Yeah,
like,
and they wear the shirts and they do all the things and they ask your mom for food, and even to the point my mom is like, oh, it's so nice that all the Marathi bears really like corn, but and they're asking Pennyma for this, that, and I'm like, yeah, because also they didn't grow up on this stuff. Whereas, like, I don't know, when I was younger, I was like, ugh, Korma again. Like, I don't like, but like now growing up when we don't have it as often, we're like,
my husband likes
I'm like more Korma. I, for some reason, like, never liked it.
Oh, I love more Korma.
Yeah. But then,
we were just Korma, and I think Wade is so they're, I mean,
yeah. So like, and my mom's like, that's so nice how much they love it, and they ask Perima for this food, and she makes sure she's having all this food ready for her maples, and I'm like, yeah. I mean, I'm not surprised. I know I've had to talk to my mom about like, yeah, that's the beauty of like a different culture and intertwining with one, is that like you get to experience another one, and especially bringing a white person into the family, it's like, cool, like you're gonna get smacked in the face with culture, especially I think in a family like ours. I mean, I think the Indian culture already is so robust, but in our family, there's a lot of like pujas and like temple involvement and activities that like, even if like we're not going, our dance, music, like all these things, like even if we might not be actively going or whatever it is, like it's still in the zeitgeist if we're able to recognize things and identify them, and then they're like, oh wow, that's so cool, tell me about that, and you're like, well, you just kind of grew up with it and you just was subjected to this. Anyway, I forgot what my point was there, but
Maples.
Maples, the Maples are cool. The bears, they're my bears. For everyone else, I call them so I think bear is the term for brother-in-law, and so I just call them all bears. Also because they're all white, and while Atimbear is still a cool title, I'm like, they're just bears. They're bears.
The bears.
The bears. The bears. My bears. I wanted to ask, I think what I feel like is an important question about like that lonely feeling. So I guess we're kind of backtracking a little bit to go back to, like when you were single and, maybe around you, everyone else was like getting married and stuff like that. Like, how did you combat that feeling of like, oh, I want what everybody else has, I haven't gotten it, like feeling left behind, feeling lonely, anything like that? Because sometimes it's hard when you see everybody else get like for me recently, like yet another friend is having a baby, and I'm like, God, but like wonderful. I'm so happy that, these friends are having children. But then sometimes I'm like, somebody else is getting to a child before I can even get to a husband. Like, and it does make me feel a little bit left behind, but not in a way that I'm like hating on anybody else. I'm just kind of like,
yeah, of course, yeah.
Timeline, come on, like what else can I be doing? And I mean, what I've had to talk myself through is like, I'm doing as much as I can. And sometimes you can't just rush the timeline. But given, again, because there's such an age difference between us, like that feeling is not a new feeling for anybody. It happens. So how did you guys deal with that?
I think it goes back, at least for me, it goes back to that same answer to the other one. Like there were still our friends, we were all together, and even though they were married, we were still hanging out. So I guess it wasn't like I wasn't seeing them or we weren't seeing them. My roommate was there also, and so we were good friends. So I guess, yes, there are the times where like I would like to be with someone, having someone who we would go out on dates or whatever, having that. But I guess countering it was, okay, I have my sisters, I have a somewhat active social life that it kept me going, right? Like you just have to do your thing. I don't know, like that. I guess that's how I dealt with it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about this, this topic. Like, it's so hard to like unpack what is my actual feeling and what is society telling me I need to feel. And so
Yes.
I think this idea that like there's something wrong with me, right? So, I mean, the whole idea of being lonely, again, like, I don't know if I was lonely, but just this idea that like society was expecting this thing to happen and it's not happening. So there must be something wrong, or I need to try this, or I
Or
have
I
to
must
try
be
that.
miserable if I don't have this thing that society
Yeah.
expects me
And, and like, yeah, like, so I'm saying, like, the idea, the idea of lonely, like, we weren't lonely, right? Like,
to. Yeah.
I had friends I grew up with, and I actually even wrote this monologue about this. I did like the Yoniki Bach monologues in Seattle. And I wrote like a whole monologue. I'm like, why is society telling me that I need to have a plus one? Like, why is that the most important thing when I already have like a plus, 15 or 20 with all my friends. And like, I'm never going to places alone. Like, so I'm not saying, right. And so, I mean, it was more of like, I didn't feel lonely, or like I didn't have a people, I didn't have a community. I think it's just like what society holds up as like that you need to have this partner, when like not valuing all the other relationships that you have and all the other friendships and like that love, like just only valuing like romantic love as like the end all be all. So it's just really frustrating that, that those relationships aren't valued as much as this like one thing that you're supposed to find on your own, and like, or with your parents' help, right? Or just is supposed to like be this thing when, there's so many other relationships that are
Yeah.
important.
Did
So
either of you ever make new friends in like your single era? Like being like, okay, well, I need some new friends who are also single, or you had other people in your group, in your larger group, who were also single, right? Up until a certain point, I'm sure. But like I have made new
I'm yeah.
friends.
Because you move right now, or
I mean, I even after moving, like yes, I made friends because I was like, I live in a new city and I want local friends. But even in because this year will make 6 years, but even in the past year, in the past 6 months, 6 to 9 months, I've made it a point to make new friends because I kind of looked around and realized that even in the past 5 years, the friends that I've made, like we've all kind of gone in different directions. And it's not even that like they got married and like it's just like they moved to a different part of town, and so I don't see them as often, or like maybe somebody did get into a new relationship and they're like living with their partner and they're like, I don't really feel like going out. Or somebody like left town. Like it wasn't that they like got married and left for, that particular reason. But I just was like, oh, I just need some new friends who get it, what it's like to just be single and want to do certain things. And be like actively, doing things, are also just like understand the woes of, dating, or, whatever it is, or even just be willing, just be game to like, hey, I want to go to this thing. And someone's like, yeah, we should go. I'm like, okay,
yeah.
cool. Yeah, let's go. Like, someone else to kind of push and be like, yeah, let's go to that. You want to go to that thing? Let's go to that thing. Because I don't have other commitments, and, we're friends. So yeah, let's totally go to that thing. So I feel like it really helped me to make new friends who are in the same playing field as me at this time. And that has been kind of a game changer for me. So that's why I asked if you had that.
I ended up making friends with a different group of friends who are all married. So now. I started going to this workout thing, and then like this whole big group of us started becoming like good friends. Which and I'm still really good friends with like a couple of couples, but yeah, they were all like partnered up
Okay, so
yeah.
how when did you meet them in timeline to like moving and meeting Wade?
I met them when I was 35. Okay,
Okay.
knew like yeah,
So
35,
sometime.
and then like
About
I didn't
10
meet
years.
Wade.
Yeah,
10 years.
yeah. Well, I asked that because I went to a wedding a couple months ago in Mexico, and I made new friends there as well. And like people that I still hang out, they helped me move, like really great people, but they're like married and have kids. And I was like, oh, I find it so funny that like instead of making new friends who are like I was just saying in the same playing field as me, they're married and have children. And I'm just like obsessed with these little kids, and their husbands are really great, and they're like, hey, you want to come out for this thing? And I'm like, oh, sure. And one of my friends said, I think that's a sign that you're entering a new era. Like, I think like you're making new friends that are the vision of what you want for yourself. And I was like, wow, what a wonderful concept to like hold on to and be like, yeah, maybe I am gonna like meet a partner soon and then be one of those people. But that's why I asked, like, when did you meet all the couples?
I met him through a workout thing, and I was part of this workout like group for like 10 years. And I do remember like, you know, and people would come and go into this workout thing. And I remember like this one guy was there, and like after I looked at my friends, I was like, oh, he's cute. And they're like, hey, I was like, oh, really? Like,
Damn it. Of course he is. That's why he's cute.
I was like, I was like, oh, I'm going to meet new people, right? And there was like, you know, I was like, oh, no, I did that.
Well, Nithya, no new friends.
No, because I
No new
actually
friends, same old friends.
Well, I ended up moving to Seattle for grad school, like I mentioned.
Right. And so that was your force to make
that
new
was
friends.
like my force to make new friends. And so yeah, I definitely like most of the people that I met were all single. A lot of them were single, actually, single women. So so it was just kind of nice to just I had that group. And so yeah, like the people that I literally would call up and be like, hey, let's do this thing, that thing.
Yeah.
And so I had that there for the time I was there. So that was really good because I was like mid-30s. Still single, so
yeah. All right. One of the final things I wanted to ask was like when did you feel like you were ready? And I know we kind of talked about realizing that everybody else is like, you know, has a partner and looking around and being like, oh yeah, like I want one of those too, and are going to do something about it. But I feel like I thought I was ready when I was 31. I felt ready. And then after dating and having different experiences, like teaching me different things about myself, now at 30, like, I guess like, yeah, now at 34, I wouldn't even say 33. Now at 34, I feel like a different level of ready. Did you have that kind of feeling where like you felt ready and like maybe you felt ready at like 30 or 30, whatever, saying like, yeah, of course, this is the age, quote, to get married. But then actually felt differently ready at a different age, like to receive the right kind of person, to finally be like, no, I would rather than be married and it be semi-miserable, like I would rather wait to get that right person. Like, what was that age feeling? That age feeling like? I don't know how else to describe it.
I mean, I feel like because I moved away for grad school, the thought of settling in the Pacific Northwest wasn't really an option for me. Like I didn't want it. Exactly. So I don't know. I mean, first of all, you have to find the right person. So that wasn't happening. So I don't know. I don't think there was ever like a time where like, now I'm ready. You know, I just knew I wanted to meet somebody, but clearly that place was not the right place. And until I, came back here where, I felt like most like myself and felt like, okay, this is where I want to be. And I don't want to settle anywhere else. That like, it was going to happen. And just the vibe matched me too, So I don't know if I was like, okay, I know I'm ready, but clearly like this, I wasn't supposed to be anywhere else.
I think for me, it wasn't. I don't know what. It was just like I'm going to really give it. Like I had done it a few. Like I do it for a little bit, 1 year, and then you kind of give it. I gave it a month, and then nothing happened. And then like okay, let me try to give it. And so that it was kind of like when I finally did it that year. I was like, okay, let me do this for. I don't know how much months that was going to give me, but I was like, let me at least really try seriously. So like if I don't go put myself out there, it's not going to happen. Which is fine, but if I don't try, it's not going to happen, right? I mean, I can't just.
Yeah, it's like that whole thing. If you don't ask, it's a no. It's like the same concept. If you don't try, it's not going to happen.
Yeah. So it's kind of like, let me just give it a shot. Not to say I was not going to do it again, but I was like, let me at least try. I think that's really just where I did. And I don't know. I mean, that first date with Wade was like easy. It was just like the oddest thing. I don't, So. And it was like, it was just like, oh, this is a good day. Like, we had a glass of wine. He kept telling me he had to leave very early in the morning because he was flying out. He hadn't packed. I was like, okay. And then I think he kind of got interested. The conversation wore on. And then, he's like, oh, let's go, go get dinner. I was like, ooh, okay. And it was like, dinner was a big donut and a glass of milk. Like, and then he emailed to get my phone number because I had not given him my phone number yet. Mm-hmm. He had to actually get on OkCupid, look up my phone number. I think he looked at my phone number and then he texted me because I didn't have his number. So he actually did that.
Again, the guy just making an effort that's really not that big of an effort. Like,
he got dressed up, like, and he wasn't really dressed up. I was like, I noticed. I mean, but he, in a sense of I was like, oh, he's wearing nice pair of jeans. He has a button-down shirt and like a black leather jacket. Like, I could tell he put himself together. He looked nice. So not to say he didn't right for a suit, but he put effort on it. He selected the place, and yeah.
That's so cute.
But it was really just, I was like, I'll just put myself out there. I was like, a week a date, one date a week. I have to. And he had a dog, and I was like, oh, it's not gonna work out anyway. So I go on the date with him because I didn't want a big dog. And like, you went on a date with him because he has a dog. I was like, yeah. I was like, but it didn't work out. And then look.
Well, that's a great lesson, and like, you don't have to have such hard boundaries of everything. Like, you can be a little bit flexible with them, and you never know who's gonna filter through that system.
Well, it's funny because I think on OkCupid, like Rich and I were kind of looking at each other because you can see who views you. I didn't email him because we were looking at each other, and he found an email. But he did. I mean, I was like,
well, yeah, mine was like San Francisco, like only. I was like, I don't know, East Bay. It's so hard to go date in the East Bay.
Yeah, but he made the effort to come to you, right?
Oh yeah.
Now you've been. I mean, you both have. Well, I was talking about Swapna and Wade. Like, he's like all the way out in East Bay. He's not in the East Bay. He was in San Francisco, but he was off by bar. And on that day, he was like, he did say, well, texting back and forth. He's like, sorry, I always make it a point to come on the first date, like to come to the girls' neighborhood, the neighborhood. But since I have to pat, would you mind coming up? And like, that was something he felt really bad about. Yeah. Well, again, he was honest, and I think it's really funny that you were like, oh, so weird that the first date went so well, because I think sometimes we don't know what to do with good things. At least that's something I recognized with like dating this younger guy. Like, all this nice stuff was happening, and I was supremely uncomfortable because I wasn't used to it. And it's not that I'm saying that I should have been treated poorly and I would have been used to it, but I think it would have surprised me less if he was, did, I guess, the bare minimum of things rather than going above and beyond in the ways that he did. And so I think it's really funny that we say things like, oh, like, what a nice thing that happened. It was so weird. It feels so telling that now that I decipher all these things through this like new lens of like learning certain lessons. But on lessons, what is your parting like piece of advice for anybody who feels any of the things that we talked about, like feels lonely, left behind, or like tired of dating, or whatever? What's the best Akka advice that you could give me, but then also everyone else that's listening, who I'm just assuming are all various forms of me?
Okay. I think that there isn't a behind.
I like that. There isn't a behind. Other than your butt.
Exactly. Booty. I mean, like, that's the thing is like I remember like hearing of people who got married early and then like, 10 years later when, I was still single, or like we're getting divorced, right? Not that happens to everybody.
No, but I heard that too. Yeah.
Right. So people, right, again, this like timeline and like what you're supposed to do. And there's always like, two people in my life, not in my life, but people I think about. Like, there's this one woman who was when I was like in my 20s, she was an executive director for this organization I worked with. She was in her 40s. She was 40, in her 40s when she got married, right? But she was just like this often confident woman. Like, it just, that happened. And I also always think of Kamala Harris, like getting married late, right?
Yeah.
Like, these awesome women who are smart and capable and like brilliant and all these things, like, it takes time to find your right person if you're super awesome like us. So not that nobody else, but I mean, like, so just that there isn't a behind. Like, just do your thing, be yourself, right? And I feel really happy that I feel 100% confident in who I am, and I don't need to feel like, I think definitely younger, I felt like I needed to change myself, who I was, to please the guy, right? To like not be myself and like pretend things that I liked and like was really into this music or this, that, or like, and like, I think in my early 30s, I was just like, I'm who I am. Like, whatever. Like, this is me. And if you think something that I do is weird or funny, well, that's your problem. That's not my problem, right? I think really feeling comfortable in who I am and like what I believe in and my values. And so, I rather be this person than the person I was in my teens and feeling like how I had to conform to what other people were like.
I love that. There is no such thing as behind. Like, everyone is where they're supposed to be. It just might not be where they want to be, but they're supposed to be there for a reason. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, if I think, I'm trying to think about what the quote was that I heard or saw that was something about, like, I could be married tomorrow. Like, if I really wanted to, I could say yes to someone and I can get,
Exactly.
but it's not about that, because being married is not the badge. It's not like, that's not the goal. It is being married to that amazing, wonderful person that like you're so in love with, and they're in love with you, and they're doing the things, and it doesn't necessarily feel like the bare minimum. Like, they're just doing, it's easy. Like, this, I want to be with this person wants to be with me. We're aligned on all these things, and like, it's a beautiful, wonderful life with that person. And you can still have that with the person and not necessarily even be married to them. Like, what I learned in the Vedic astrology thing, that like some people are not necessarily destined for marriage specifically. Like, they'll have a really great partnership with someone, but once you get married, you might actually ruin the whole thing. And I was like, what an interesting concept. That's like in Vedic like teachings. But that's something that I've been trying to hold on to as well. I could get all these things and have it be done tomorrow if that was the goal.
Yeah.
But we're not in those ages anymore where it's like you just have to get married to like procreate or like
it's settle down, right? And what does that define settle down? Like that settle down, and I'm not settling, so but you don't need to settle down. You are settled down. You have a life, you have a job, you have an apartment, you're living, you have friends, you have a lot. You're
I asked my dad to define what that meant. He's like, you should be settled by now. And I was like, what do you mean by settled? Can you define what you mean by that for me? He was like, I've never been asked to define settled before. What do you mean? And I was just like, no, but like, tell me what it is you mean by settled.
The funniest thing was that my father-in-law, when they came here before the actual Hindu-Jewish ceremony, we were here. And it was one evening, my father-in-law sat me down. He patted my hand. He's like, I'm so glad I'm going to see Wade settled. And I'm like, oh, God, a non-Indian person for terminology. But the funniest thing was like, you were just so happy to see Wade settled.
And for the first time, my dad also mentioned, he's like, you should be a mother by now. And I was like,
oh.
I think it's also because like I've never heard my dad like confess these kinds of like feelings and thoughts. Like, it's not that I didn't think he had them. It was shocking to hear the words out of his mouth. And I kind of felt bad because I was like, oh, like, I mean, like, you're not wrong. Like, I would have thought the same thing. And, that's just not the case.
You cannot settle for, right? And I think we had this somewhat conversation on the weekend of my wedding, right? Remember, we were all at the dining table and like, your mom was like, and they were like, no. I was like, Raj, you should know, especially after just being at my wedding. I'm 46. I was like 47 at that point of that time, like.
Yeah.
Like,
she was like, if only you had met Wade 10 years ago, and you're like, it would not have happened.
It worked.
Yeah.
He would have been a different person. I would have been a different person. You never know, right? It's timing. It's just, you gotta, it's hard to think, okay, you just have to wait and not settle or just wait, or like you're doing the right thing, you're but
Is that your advice? Do you have different wisdom, parting words of wisdom?
I mean, living through it, right? And I'm just thankful that I didn't settle, and like you just didn't just get married to anyone because it could have happened, and that I was patient and kept trying as much as I kept trying. I think you try a lot more than I did, but it happened.
Me?
I mean, you try a lot more than I did, yes. By dating, I mean, right?
So much. Tried so many things. I've stopped trying now, honestly.
No, but I mean, just going out there and putting yourself out there.
No, I get what you're saying.
Out there as much as you, right? So
that's, I do feel like I tried so much that I fatigued myself, though. Which was another.
I would do that for a while, then I'd stop. And I'm like, okay, like it could be a year before I really try it, Then I'd see some random dating thing, and like, oh, let's go do that. But like I was kind
Yeah.
of doing a very small spurts, right? It wasn't a very long
Yeah, even
thing.
my mom at some point was like, I was like, I just need a break. I can't do this right now. I need a break. And she was like, no, you lose the momentum. And I was like, what momentum? Nothing is literally happening.
Yeah.
And this was the one thing that I was really giving, like I was being patient and understanding and we were having good conversation.
And
I can't do this because all
it
like,
affects your mental health.
yeah, yeah,
Like,
it
there's
really
so
did.
much energy
And
like you put out there.
I think the best thing is that because I took that break, then I met two people, including this, like the younger guy that I was mentioning, and then somebody else that I ended up like casually dating for like about a year. I learned so much more about myself in those experiences where I wasn't trying so hard and didn't intend for it to be anything. And in
Yeah.
that, I've realized that like, oh, look what happens if you're just a little like chiller about it, where you're not trying so hard. So I know that like kind of goes the opposite of what you did, Swapna, but like I did all that like trying so hard, making an effort. Like if I don't put it out there into the universe won't give it back to me. Like if I don't do the assignment, I won't get the grade kind of thing.
Yeah.
I may have tried by getting on the app and getting out there, but it doesn't mean that my date for it. And
Yeah.
really put all that effort on. It was like
Right.
getting the date. Then when you go to the
Yeah.
like, oh god, okay, how long
Yeah,
is
yeah.
gonna be because this is not happening
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. But yeah, no, and now I'm just more of like I have an open mindset and heart and attitude towards it. Like if something should come along, fantastic. I'm so open to whatever, all the possibilities. But I'm only making half efforts now. Because I'm just like, it's not that I won't make any efforts. It's just like, does this feel right for me? Cool, I'll do it. And if I'm like, I don't want to do it, I'm not going
maybe
to.
like if it's the right guy, you may not even realize it, and you want to go full on, and then he's gonna love it, and like it's just,
Yeah,
that's
that's
you,
what I
right?
hope.
Like, right? Yeah.
There was a guy that I met at one of my previous jobs, and he was in a relationship. And I knew that, and I was like, oh, we're like bros. Like, we're getting along. We have like similar sense of humor, and like, you've been in the job, and like, you can teach me about the job, and like, we're gonna be like good friends. And he was like, I have all of these like crazy feelings for you. And I was like, dude, it's like one thing if I was like flirting, but I was like, I wasn't even flirting. What do you mean with feelings for me? I had to like grapple with the fact that like I didn't try anything, and someone was like, the way that you are is amazing. You came along and were just yourself, not trying anything. And I have all these feelings for me. And I was like, dude, someone can really just like me for not even trying. And that was quite the lesson to learn.
Yeah.
But with that, I think I got everything that I wanted to ask you both. And I appreciate all the advice through all the years. And now I get to share my Akkas with other people. Really hope you all enjoyed this episode. It was really special for me to talk to my cousins and be able to record that kind of conversation with them and just have it for myself, but then also to be able to give anybody else out there who has the quote silly questions that they want answers to, and be able to hear them from an older sister and get that big sister advice. I don't pretend to know everything. Or maybe I do pretend to know everything. I don't know. I don't know how it comes off, but I don't know everything. And I turn to these women in my life to get advice and then try to disseminate it to everyone else and in hopes that it will help other people. So I hope that you all were able to take something away from it. We all got to understand that, being behind is not a real thing. There's no such thing as being behind. Everyone's timeline is meant for them in their own special way. And, and the power of friends in society, like to combat societal standards of, hey, if society's saying that you should be miserable if you're, quote, alone, as in without a partner, like that's not true. That's not fair. You can still be really happy with your group of friends, whether they're new friends that you needed to make for whatever reason or wanted to make, or still the same old friends that you've had your whole life. And as long as you're happy, what doesn't matter, right? So I hope everyone really enjoyed this really special episode for me, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye.